Yes, I do think that in June, when BlackRock announced its filing, or when it was announced that BlackRock had filed for Bitcoin ETF, the Bitcoin price did shoot up, but has been fairly stable since then. So I do think it's had an impact. A bigger impact this year was the regional bank crisis. It was very interesting to watch Bitcoin go from 19,000 to 30,000 right in the middle of that banking crisis as regional banks were going bankrupt. So it was a flight to safety. So I thought that move was just as interesting.
And a flight to safety, is buying Bitcoin somehow a flight to safety? Isn't it a little too volatile for that?
Well, if you think about it, Bitcoin serves as two kinds of hedges. One is a hedge against inflation and outright confiscation of wealth. The other is against counterparty risk. And, when the regional banks started going down, this fear sort of, our memories are fresh with 0809, the counterparty risk became real. And so there was this flight into Bitcoin, a completely decentralized, transparent network, which is not subject to counterparty risk.
ARK Investment Management CEO Cathie Wood discusses the SEC possibly approving a spot Bitcoin ETF, the outlook for Tesla in the wake of CFO Zachary Kirkhorn stepping down, and her views on China's economy. So let's get started with the video.
I think you're probably right that August 13th will come and go, and I think the SEC, if it's going to approve a Bitcoin ETF, will approve more than one at once. So then, again, because most of these essentially will be the same, and it will come down to marketing, communicating the message. We've been putting out our Bitcoin monthly for the last year. We are now starting a Bitcoin brainstorming session. Our first one we launched last Thursday. So we're trying to get the word out there that our research is deep, and we've been doing it since 2015 when we gained our first exposure to GBTC. We were the first public asset manager to gain exposure to Bitcoin at all in 2015. Well, I think that the two other branches of government, the judicial branch and the legislative branch, are giving the SEC pause because the SEC is losing cases in court having to do with its regulations around crypto. That's the first thing. And there are bills that are making their way through the House and are seeing some bipartisan support. So I do believe that Gary Gensler, I guess last week or 10 days ago, said something like, well, I'm not the only one who makes this decision. There are 5 commissioners. Now, of course, we know they're weighted towards the Democrats, 3 Democrats, 2 Republicans. And so one assumes that the way that Gary votes is the way the SEC will vote. But he seemed to be distancing himself a little bit, and so maybe we can take that as a bit of a clue. We think that it is the most regulatory compliant exchange out there, and we've been very pleased with how its derivatives exchange in Bermuda has ramped in here. It's very early days, but again, clearly a trusted partner, and we are also seeing that there's more turmoil out there, I guess. Hubei, I think that's how you say the name of the exchange, and Tether and Finance. There are rumblings out there that not is all is well. And so Coinbase is going to be the flight to safety exchange, no doubt about it. Well, what I find so interesting still, and this is why we believe that the SEC will lose the grayscale case. How can you approve a Bitcoin futures ETF and not a Bitcoin ETF? And in fact, if you're really thinking about consumer protection, a futures ETF has swap space. So there's counterparty risk there that you would not have with a Bitcoin ETF, which is backed one-to-one with Bitcoin in Coinbase's cold storage. It still confounds me. Well, as you know, we have a 5-year investment time horizon, and we do think this cycle for autos is going to get tougher in here generally. But we think just like last year when electric vehicles were up 69% or 65%, something like that, and gas-powered vehicles down 7% globally, we think we're going to continue to see that share shift accelerate because electric vehicle prices are going to follow their costs down in a way that gas-powered cars cannot. So we think that electric vehicles will be less expensive, and they are better cars than gas-powered vehicles. So we think they're going to take tremendous share. And even if the auto market relapses in here, which we think it could, we don't think electric vehicles will relapse. So we think the 1.8 million for this year, which was, Elon said 1.8 to 2 million, they're going to have some shutdowns in the third quarter for maintenance and upgrades. And so he lowered his expectation to the lower end of that range. I think he likes to lower expectations and then beat. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's higher than that.
ARK Invest's Cathie Wood has predicted that a race among exchange-traded fund providers will begin as the date for her own product application approaches. A slew of ETFs has been filed recently, overwhelming the Securities and Exchange Commission, which has been reluctant to approve any. ARK's application for a spot in Bitcoin ETF was published in the Federal Register on May 15th. The SEC designated August 13th as the date by which the Commission shall either approve or disapprove or institute proceedings to determine whether to disapprove the proposed rule change. Wood, whose firm filed earlier than BlackRock did for an ETF, said, "August 13th will come and go, and I think the SEC, if it is going to approve a Bitcoin ETF, will approve more than one at once." She added that most of the products are essentially the same, so it will come down to which companies have marketed them better. Wood said that ARK's research was deep, and they have been doing it since 2015 when it first gained exposure to the asset through Grayscale. When asked whether the firm would sell its GBTC holdings and buy spot exposure for its own next-generation internet fund, she was very evasive and said, "I cannot talk about it." Additionally, ETF analyst at Bloomberg Intelligence, James Seifert, said, "I think Cathie is seeing and hearing the same things we are." In addition to ARK, 8 other companies have also filed for a spot BTC product. These include BlackRock, Bitwise, VanEck, Invesco, and WisdomTree, which have also filed applications for a spot Bitcoin ETF. The SEC's actions related to Bitcoin ETFs should be made in a fair and orderly manner. As a disclosure-based regulator, the SEC should not pick winners and losers. The SEC has yet to approve a spot BTC product citing market manipulation and fraud. However, it has approved futures-based ETFs, which are backed by futures contracts instead of the asset itself. So, what's your price prediction for Bitcoin at the end of 2023? Tell us in the comments. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you soon with the next video. Thank you so much for watching.